Is a budget rifle a good option, or do you just end up spending more money in the long run? The short answer is yes, budget rifles are a good option and they're great for training. But with that being said, I do have to say that I highly recommend spending your money on good quality equipment that's going to last and that has been proven. I've seen time and time again where people will spend the money on a budget gun thinking they're gonna save, and they end up in the long run spending more money than the person that just bought the good stuff to start with, because they get the budget gun and they have fun with it and they train and they practice and they take it to classes and they quickly realize, oh, okay, maybe I should upgrade my flashlight because I didn't really get the good flashlight. I only spent $100 when I should have spent a little bit more. Or, okay, I only spent $100 on an optic. I probably should have spent $500 on an optic. I want the better one. So as you can see, it's slowly over time, they start to upgrade that budget gun and turn it into the gun they should have bought from the start. And then they end up spending more money than the person that just bought the good gun at the beginning. So why would I say that budget rifles are a good option? You might be asking yourself. And where they come into play and where they're a great option is they're a good training aid and they're a good foot in the door. If you are somebody that just doesn't really know if you really want to get into this, or if you just don't have the funds, you're like, no, I minimally have only $500 or $800. I can't get a gun that's worth $3,000. It's just not going to happen. This is a really good option to get your foot in the door. And then later down the road, you can either sell this or you can upgrade it as you want to, because that financially makes more sense to you. That is not a problem. I'm just letting you know the experience that I have had, and I highly recommend buying the good stuff when you can. If you can't, budget options are a really, really good option. Where that usually comes into play is where people are just trying to save a quick buck and buying a cheaper thing because they think they can get by, and they quickly realize that wasn't the right option. The nice thing about going budget is you're able to take the money that you would have saved on all those other products, and you're able to put that towards the ammo for the gun and the training of that gun to make you as proficient as possible with these. And that's always the goal, is to become proficient with this weapon system, get used to it, get comfortable. And the good thing is a lot of the things that you're gonna learn on this are gonna transfer over to this. Yes, there's a big price difference between the two, but the general idea of how they function and work and how you manipulate your light and use your optic and mitigate recoil or trigger control and safety selector and how to work through malfunctions is all the same from platform to platform. So you're gonna learn all that stuff in the cheaper version, and then when you go to upgrade and you have the money to be able to do that, that's all gonna transfer over. Now, what I will say for those of you that are trying to figure out your budget build and where to put your money, I would not cheap out on the things like an optic. I would put a little bit more money into your optic, because you can always transfer that to the next rifle and put this optic on this gun, and then you don't have to buy a new optic when you go to upgrade the rifle itself. For those of you that say the budget options are just as good as the expensive options, no, they're not. It's not at all just as good. They're good and they're a decent option, and you can get very good training value from those guns, and there's nothing wrong with going budget. I think a lot of people get a little frustrated, maybe their pride's a little hurt because they have a budget option and they want it to be just as good, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not as good, and you can admit that. That's fine. This $300 to $500 gun is not just as good as my $3,000 to $5,000 guns. I've done a lot of testing of a lot of different accessories and firearms, and within that time, I have tested guns like this as a $300 AR-15. I actually have a video here if you guys are interested to see how that performs. And I've tested my $7,500 AR-15. There is obviously gaps in between those products. And what you're gonna be paying for is quality parts, longevity of those parts, quality control, which we'll touch on in just a second, and a little bit you're paying for the name. Let's just get the elephant out of the room. A lot of guys will buy your Daniel Defense or your Knight's Armament, and maybe you didn't have to spend that much on the gun, but you wanted to because you just wanted to say you have one of those. So that side can say, like, we didn't buy it because of the name, but you also didn't buy your Mercedes because you wanted a good economy car. Speaking of training on a budget, we're down here at the range with our budget rifle. And when it comes to targets and budget, there's a great option called Infinity Target. These are self-healing targets that you're able to shoot continuously, and then you can just spray paint them over after you're done with it and go back at it. It's a great middle ground between a steel target and paper targets. It's kind of the best of both worlds, but the price is a lot more cheap. And you can use code TA10, that'll save you 10% on your order of Infinity Targets. Go check them out. They've got multiple different sizes, shapes, and we're gonna continue to train with this budget rifle and discuss the role that these have as a training aid. Now, I mentioned quality control. Now, you're gonna notice a lot of those issues when you're going down to those more budget guns. They're able to churn out a $400 gun like this one because they're not spending as much money on that quality control. So this gun and the next one and the next one and the next one might vary a little bit different. You might have some issues with your tolerances, and maybe your buffer gets smacked a lot because the tolerances aren't as tight or as good as they should be. Maybe you're having some issues, or maybe it's over-gassed or under-gassed. You're gonna see a lot of that with your cheaper guns. Some people just don't care because they're like, whatever, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna train with it, and it works, it works. Other people really wanna make sure everything is tight in the way it's supposed to be, and as you should be, especially if it's gonna be a purpose-driven rifle or a duty rifle that you're gonna use for home protection to protect yourself or your family. I have a significant amount of budget guns behind me, anywhere from $300 to $1,000, and that is what I've noticed the most between the budget guns, is the quality control is either hit or miss. You might get a good one, and those of you that are like, no, this thing is great, like, and it might be, and you're probably not lying, it's probably been great for what you use it for, but the guy that gets the gun next in line might be having some of those quality control issues that we're talking about. Now, when it comes to longevity, you're gonna notice that same thing. The longevity on these parts just aren't gonna last. A lot of guys that get into these budget tier guns don't have as much money to put into the ammo and train. Let's just put it bluntly. You're not gonna be going out throwing 3,000 to 5,000 rounds through this gun, going through a ton of training classes. That's where you're gonna see some of the downsides, and that's why a lot of people that get these guns are like, no, it's great, you know, I shot 50 rounds and it was awesome. Well, yeah, it should shoot 50 rounds. I really hope it does, and if it doesn't, you probably should get rid of it. You're really gonna notice the longevity and the quality of parts when you're getting into those higher round counts on those guns, which a lot of these budget guns just unfortunately don't see. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just trying to be honest with you because I want you to spend your money in the right way and be able to get something that's going to last you a long time and fit the role that you're purchasing this for. Now, what I will say is technology has come a really long way, especially with optics and flashlights. You can really get some good budget option optics, like a Tacticon flashlight and optics setup, and Hollow Suns, and there's a lot of other companies out there that are making some really quality stuff because technology has come so far. Before, your budget options were kind of garbage. Now you're getting into something with $200, $300 is decent. It's not the worst thing in the world, and it's something that can actually last a decent amount of time. And what's been nice is these budget options has really helped even the pricing range of other optics. Before, it was like either you have a $100 piece of crap or you have a $1,000 aim point where it's like, good Lord, I can't afford that. Now there's a lot of options in between that, and it's kind of making those prices meet a little bit more in the middle, which is good for everybody. With all that being said, in the end, this is your money and your life that you have to be protecting. Do what you want and what you think makes the most sense. Do what is best for you and your family financially, and what you think is going to be able to protect your life. I just come on here to give you my honest opinion and give you my experience that I've had in the past of unfortunately wasting a lot of money getting to where the point I am now, but also understanding that not everybody has thousands of dollars to put into these guns just because it might be the better option. I do understand where you're coming from. So I hope this video was able to help you make a better decision on what you would like to go with. As always, my goal to help you spend your money in the best way possible and not waste it. A big supporter of me and the channel is Howitzer Clothing. Absolutely love these guys. They donate 5% of proceeds to charity. They've donated so much money, like $2.5 million so far. And they have a Tactical Visor shirt, and I wear their pants, their shoes, their hats, their shirts. I wear everything of theirs all the time. Absolutely love their brand, their clothing, what they stand for, and you guys can use the link in the description. Go pick up a shirt from them or the Tactical Visor shirt. Other than that, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.